Hi guys, Terry here again, right? I'm going to try to complete the solutions to the June 2023 AdMaths paper 2. What I want to do though, I just want to do over the last part of question 2, right? Which was the savings question, right? So John's grandparents started a university fund for him at a bank, right, with $4,000 in the bank, right? Now there are two options being offered here, option 1 and option 2, right? Now with the first option, he's being given an interest, right, of $240 per annum, which means that every year he's being given $240 more than what he had in the bank, right? So option 1 is an arithmetic progression, right? Because initially, right, you're going to start. Now the question asks us for the beginning of the ninth year. So I've had a lot of students ask me whether it should have been 8 or it should have been 9, right? Now it depends on what you take as your first term in your series here. So if we start off with $4,000, right? That's what you're starting off with, right? Now at the beginning of the second year, right? So this is at the beginning of the second year now, right? What you're gonna have is $4,000 plus 240, right? That's what's happening here. So this here is your first year, right? That's what it's starting off with at the beginning of whatever the investment is here. In the third year, right, what's going to happen is that it's going to be 4,000, right, plus 240 plus 240, right? So this here in itself is an arithmetic progression. So your first term is equal to 4,000, right? And your common difference here is going to be $240, right? Now, the question asks, what is determine the sum of the money in the university fund at the beginning of the ninth year, right? So this word here could have been confusing for some, including myself, right? So what's happening here is that we keep adding money. So what they're really asking us for is at the beginning of the ninth year, right? How much money are we going to have at the beginning of the ninth year? So in this case here, right, you are really working out what is the nth term of this arithmetic progression here, which is a plus n minus 1d, right? So what we're really working out here, you're working out for the beginning of the ninth year. So you have to use 9 in this case here. So it's going to be 4,000, right, plus n minus 1, which is 9 minus 1, multiplied by the common difference of 240, right? So in this case, it's going to be 4,000 plus, open brackets, 9 minus 1, multiplied by 240, and you're going to get 5,290, right? 5,290. So that's the amount of money that you're going to have at the beginning of the ninth year, right? So what I've done, right, I've actually worked out for each year, so you would actually see what is going to be the answer here, right? Forget about this total here. This is not what we need here. We don't need this, right? So at the beginning of the first year, so this is year 1, right? That's the beginning of the year we're talking about, right? So in this case here, you're starting off with 4,000. When you jump to the second year, the money has increased to 4,240, and so we keep going, right? So the question wants at the beginning of the ninth year, right? So in this case here, if we look at the series as it is, this here is your first term, and you actually have to work out for your ninth term, right? So I know some students were trying to figure out if it was really 8 or if it was really 9, right? Okay, so that's the first option. That's option 1, right? Now the second option here, this is option 2. They said that you are increasing, right, by 5% of the current balance, right? Now this here is a geometric progression as well, and here's why. So in your first year, at the beginning of the first year, we have $4,000, right? $4,000, right? Now at the second year, what's happening here is that it's going to be 4,000, right, multiplied by 1.05. Now I've had some students ask me, so how you know is 1.05? Well, if you wanted to work out the amount of money at the beginning of the second year, what you'll have to do is to find 5% of $4,000 and then add that figure to the $4,000. which is really what you're doing there is multiplying by 1.05. That's what you're doing. In the third year, right? In the third year, what you're doing, you're going to multiply by 1.05 again. So in this case, it's going to be 1.05 squared. So just by looking at the numbers there, you know it is going to be a geometric progression, right? So all we're doing here, we want to find the nth term of a geometric progression, which is AR to the n minus 1. So you're working out at the beginning of the 9th year. So you have to use the 9 here. So this is going to be 4,000 multiplied by A, which is 1.05 to the power 9 minus 1. And that is going to give me 4,000 multiplied by 1.05 raised to the power 8. And you're going to get a value of 5909.82, right? So this word here, like I said, the word sum. So when I read it initially, I read it incorrectly, right? So I kind of adjusted the first video that I did for you guys, right? So it's going to be $5,909.82, right? So I've actually worked it out for each of the years, 49 years, right? So the formula that's going to work here, like I said, in this case is going to be Tn is equal to AR to the n minus 1. So in this case, you're working out for the 9th year. So it's 4,000, right, multiplied by 1.05 to the power 8, right, because 9 minus 1. So this is the answer for question 2 here, guys, right? So the third question here. For this particular one here, they give us a circle, right? And they want us to find the coordinates of the center and the coordinates of the length of the radius. So what we do, this equation they give us 2x squared, x squared plus y squared minus 8x minus 18y, right, plus 93 is equal to 0. So all we need to do to work out those things, we need to compare it with the general form, which is x squared plus y squared plus 2fx plus 2gy, right, plus c is equal to 0. What does that allow me to do? It allows me to figure out what is f, what is g, and what is c. So if you equate coefficients, so you're comparing these two equations here, we can get that 2f is equal to minus 8. So therefore f is equal to minus 8 over 2. So f is equal to minus 4. That's f. The next one here now, if we compare, we'll get 2g is equal to minus 18. So g is equal to minus 18 over 2. So g is equal to negative 9. And the only thing we're left with here now is c, which is equal to 93, right? Now, whenever you have an equation in this form here, right? So the answer for part 1, the center of the circle, right? Now, some students have a little challenge with this, is given by minus f minus g. Once it's written in this format here, that's what the center is going to be. So in this case here, you got f as minus 4. So therefore, your center is going to be positive 4, positive 9. So this here is your answer for the center of the circle, not negative 4, negative 9. And for part 2 now, you want to work out the length of the radius. Well, there's a formula to work out the radius. So r is equal to f squared plus g squared minus c. Find the square root, right? In this case, f is minus 4. So this is minus 4 squared plus minus 9 squared minus c. C is 93. Right? So this is 16 plus 81 minus 93. So that's going to give me 16 plus 81 minus 93. You're going to get 4. Right? So therefore, the radius is going to be 2 units. Right? So that's the length of the radius that here that we're looking for. Right? So that's A part 1 and part 2. The third part, they said find the equation of the normal to the circle at the point 28. Right? Now, I've had a lot of questions regarding this. Right? Now, I've drawn the graph, the actual circle. So this is what the actual circle looks like. Now this point P here that they're talking about, which is 2, 8, this point here is 2, 8. But you're going to realize, wait a minute, but this point does not lie on the circle at all, right? It doesn't lie on the circle at all. So then how come they're asking us about normal to the circle at that point, right? So this point P is not on your circle, but we have no choice here. We're going to have to work out the equation of that normal using only the information they gave us there, right? But as you can see, P is not on that circle. So we can't speak about normal at that point on the circle because P is not on the circle, right? So all I'm going to do here, I'm going to use the points 2, 8. So we have 2, 8. That's your point in this supposed circle. The center that we got just now would have been 4, 9. Right? So that's your center of your circle here. So all you're going to do, right, you're going to label this as x1, y1, label this as x2, y2, right? And the next thing that we're going to do now, we're going to find what is the gradient of the supposed normal, right? So your gradient is given by y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So all we're going to do, we're going to say 9 minus 8 all over 4 minus 2. 9 minus 8 is 1, 4 minus 2 is 2. So the gradient of this supposed normal is going to be a half, right? So to get the equation, of normal, right, we can simply use y minus y1 is equal to m into x minus x1, right? So we can use either point because both these points lie on this normal, right? So I'm going to use, let's say I use 4, 9, right? So it's going to be y minus 9 is equal to a half, that's your gradient, open brackets, x minus 4. So this is going to be y minus 9 is equal to a half x minus 2. So therefore y is equal to a half x minus 2 plus 9, right? So therefore y is equal to a half x plus 7, right? So that's your supposed equation of your normal, right? So we're still on the third question here. The position vectors of 2 points A and B relative to an origin. So they gave us 2 vectors. Let me write it on here because you're not seeing it that clearly. So OA is 3i minus j and OB is 5i minus 4j, right? And they want us to work out the unit vector AB, right? Now here's the thing. Whenever you're doing a question like this, always sketch a simple diagram. Diagram doesn't have to be accurate, but you need to know what is what. So let's say there's the vector OA here, and this here is the vector OB. Question wants to know, now it's a unit vector they're asking for. So in this case here, we're going to put, we need to find the vector AB first, right? So AB is equal to AO, right, plus OB. So AO, you have to reverse the direction of this vector here. So this is going to be minus 3i plus j, and you're going to add OB, which is 5i minus 4j, right? So minus 3i plus j is going to give you minus 2i, and then, sorry, that's not. Okay, it's minus 3i plus 5i. Okay, yeah, that's correct. Right? And then we have j minus 4, so this is minus 3j, right? So that's the vector AB here that we're talking about. But that's not the answer, right? So to get a unit vector, so unit vector, right, in the direction OB, sorry, AB, right, is equal to, all you need to do is to take the vector AB and you have to divide that vector by the magnitude of AB. That's how you find a unit vector. So what we're missing here still, we need to find what is the magnitude of AB. So this is going to be minus 2 squared plus minus 3 squared. Square root. So 2 2s are 4 plus 9. So that's the square root of 30. Right? So I'll leave my answer in that format. Right? So the answer here is going to be minus 2i minus 3j all over root 13. Right? So you can leave your answer like that, or you can probably write it as minus 2 over root 13 minus I minus 3 over root 13j. Right? So that's your unit vector in that direction there. Right? Now the second part here is a very common thing that they ask us, they love to ask us. Right? What is the angle between these two vectors here? Right? So to get the angle between the two vectors, let me get a blank page here. Okay, so let me just write down the vectors again. So we have OA and we have OB. Right, so there's a procedure we follow in order to find the angle. So OA is 3i minus j. Alright, OB is 5i minus 4j. Alright, so what we're going to do, right, the first thing I would normally do is find the dot product, right, because this is what we're doing. We have O here, we have A here, right, and what we're trying to find is the angle between the two vectors, right. So we should find OA dot OB, the dot product, right, which is equal to 3i minus j dot 5i minus 4j. So that's 5 by 3. So this is going to be 3 multiplied by 5 plus minus 1 by minus 4. So this is going to be 15, right, plus 4, and that's going to be 19. So that's your dot product there, right? Next thing we need to do, we need to find the magnitude of each vector. So this here is going to be 3 squared, right, plus minus 1 squared, square root, right, that's going to be 3 3s are 9 and 1 10, so this is going to be root 10. Next one, we have to find magnitude of OB. So this here is going to be 5 squared plus minus 4 squared, square root, so that's going to be 5 5s are 25, that's 25 plus 16. We're going to get 41. So this here is the square root of 41, right? Now, what we're going to do, we're going to use this formula here where we say that the cosine of the angle, right, has to be equal to the dot product, right? So it's OA dot OB, right, all over the magnitude of OA multiplied by the magnitude of OB, right? So cosine theta is equal to 19 over root 10 by root 41. So therefore cosine theta is equal to right, so I'm getting 0.938. So therefore theta is equal to r cos 0.938. And you get an about 20. Let me see what they wanted the angle as. The 1 decimal place. So I'm going to say 20.2. Right? So that's the angle that we're looking for here. Right? Next part, part C, they want us to solve a trigonometric equation. So what do we have here? We have 2 sine squared theta is equal to 3 cos theta, right? Now, whenever you have an equation involving, let's say, sine squared, and we have cos theta, what we're going to use the fact that sine squared theta is equal to 1 minus cos squared theta, right? So that's what I'm going to use here. So this is going to be 2 open brackets 1 minus cos squared theta is equal to 3 cos theta, right? So remove the brackets on the left, so you get 2 minus 2 cos squared theta is equal to 3 cos theta, right? Carry everything on one side, so you end up with minus 2 cos squared theta minus 3 cos theta plus 2 is equal to 0. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to multiply everything by -1. So this is 2 cos squared theta, right, plus 3 cos theta, right, minus 2 is equal to 0. So you have a quadratic in terms of cos. So what I would do, I would make a substitution. So you can say let y equal to cos theta, right? So if y is equal to cos theta, that means you can say that 2y squared plus 3y minus 2 is equal to 0. So therefore, let's factorize this. Hopefully it can. Right? So by inspection, we can say this. Maybe 1 here, maybe 2 here. Put a minus here and a plus here. Does that work? 2y by y gives me 2y squared. Yep. Minus 1 by 2 is minus 2. Okay, yeah. So this works here, right? So you have two possibilities here. Either we say 2y minus 1 is equal to 0. 2y is equal to 1. Y is equal to a half, right? Or we can say that y plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, y is equal to minus 2. But remember, I made a substitution here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, okay, cos theta is equal to a half, right? On the other side, we're going to say cos theta is equal to -2. Well, this one for sure, we have no solutions, right? Remember, sine, if you remember what a sine curve looks like, sine only goes up to a maximum value of +1. Not sine, sorry, cosine. It's a cosine graph we have here. Right? So the maximum value cosine can take is +1, and the smallest it could be is -1. So this -2 here, nope, we have no solution for that. So therefore, theta is simply going to be arc cos of a half. So therefore, theta is equal to, right, 60 degrees. Right? Now we can get more solutions, but they've limited our solution to between 0 and 180, right? Let's just double check our quadrant here for a sec. Cosine is only positive in the first and in the fourth quadrant. So as soon as we enter in the fourth quadrant, we're going to have an angle between 270 and 360. But they only want 0 and 180, so the only answer is going to be 60 degrees. Next one here, we have a proof. We have 1 over 1 minus sine x, right? Minus 1 over 1 plus sine x, right? So all you need to do, you need to find your LCM. Since both are different, it's going to be 1 minus sine x multiplied by 1 plus sine x, right? So we're going to subtract these two fractions like you would normally do. So in this case here, what's going to happen, this is going to be 1 plus sine x here minus, right, open brackets, and on this side it's going to be 1 minus sine x, right? So on the numerator, you're going to end up with 1 plus sine x minus 1. Then you have a plus sine x here, right? Now, what you're going to realize is that the denominator here is a difference of two squares. So this is 1 squared, which is 1, minus sine squared, right? So on the numerator, the 1 minus 1 will cancel. You'll end up with 2 sine x on top. And at the bottom, you're going to end up with 1 minus sine squared is cos squared. So this is going to be written as 2 sine x all over. You can write this as cos x by cos x. Right? And then you're going to realize, hey, sine x over cos x is tan x. So this is going to be 2 tan x over cos x. Right? Which is equal to your right-hand side. So that's your proof there. Right? That's your proof for this particular identity. Right? So that takes care of question 3. This one here is question 4. Right? This one is question 4. For those of you watching the video here, please remember to hit like and subscribe, right? Please do so. My new Form 4 AdMaths class will start in August, right? You can always send me a WhatsApp on this number here, right? For this particular question here, if any of you all did the specimen paper for June 2021, there's a question very identical to this in that paper, right? So with my Form 5 class, we just did that paper before the exam. Right? So what we have here, we have an equation y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. And what they said the gradient, right? It has a gradient of 9 minus a half x. So what they're really telling me there, that is dy dx. Dy dx is equal to 9 minus a half x. Right? And they're telling me that I have a stationary value of 5. Right? So this is your stationary value of 5. They want me to determine the values of a, b, and c. All right. So what we could do, right? If we start off with the original equation, you can find dy dx. So dy dx is going to be 2ax plus b. Right? That is what dy dx is. So if you look at this dy dx, right, and we look at this dy dx, we can equate our coefficients. So we can say that let me write it below here so you can see it. dy over dx is equal to, now it's 9 minus a half x, right? But I'm going to write it as minus a half x plus 9. So if you equate the coefficients, you're going to end up with 2a is equal to negative a half, right? So we can say that 4a is equal to minus 1. So a is negative a quarter, right? That's what a is. Then if we equate again, we can say that b is equal to 9. So just like that, I've worked out what a is, what b is, right? Now, they told us that has a gradient of 9 minus a half x at a stationary value of 5, right? So the stationary value is 5. So here what we're going to do, we're going to put our dy dx equal to 0. So 9 minus a half x is equal to 0. So therefore we can say that a half x is equal to 9. So therefore x is equal to 18. Right? Make sure that's correct. Yeah. So you're getting a stationary value when x is equal to 18. But we know what the stationary value is. The stationary value is actually y is equal to 5. Right? So you're going to use these two pieces of information here to actually work out what c is. Right? Now here's what we know so far. Y is equal to ax squared. A is negative a quarter. So this is minus a quarter x squared plus 9x plus c. So we're going to use the 18 and the 5 to work this out. So this is 5 is equal to negative a quarter by 18 squared plus 9 by 18, right, plus c. So let's do some. So 18 squared multiplied by 0.25 minus. So this here is minus 81. And then we have 9 by 18. That's 162. Right? So we're going to get c is equal to, that'll be 5 plus 81 minus 162. And you're going to get minus 76. Right? You're going to get minus 76. Right. The next thing they want us to determine the nature of the stationary point. Well, what we could do, right, we can find the second derivative. So you already know that dy over dx is equal to 9 minus a half x. Right? So all we need to do is to find d2y dx squared. Right? When I differentiate 9, I get 0. I want to differentiate minus a half x, I'm going to get minus a half. Right? So the fact that we get a negative value, we're not concerned about the actual value, but we got a negative value here. Right? So since d2y dx squared is negative, right, this is going to correspond to a maximum point. Right? So maximum point, since d2y dx squared is greater than, sorry, less than 0, not greater than, less than. Right? So it's negative, so it's a maximum point. Right? So this is part B now. A drone tracks the movement of an object in motion on the ground. The following motions are recorded. Right? So it moves at a constant velocity of 4 meters per second for 5 seconds. Velocity increases. All right. So what I would normally do if I have to do a question like this, I'll do a sketch first before drawing anything, because they want me to draw a graph, right? So we have velocity, we have time. Now they said it moves at a constant velocity of 4 meters per second. So what's happening here, it's doing this. So this is 4. It does so for 5 seconds. So therefore this time here is going to be 5. This is 0. They said its velocity increases uniformly. So when they say uniform, it's going to be a straight line for 3 seconds to 10 meters per second. So you're coming up here, right? So you increase your velocity for 3 seconds. So therefore this is going to correspond to 8. And this here is going to correspond to 10 meters per second, right? It then moves at that velocity for 7 seconds. So you're going for 7 again, right? So that's 7 plus 8 here. So that's 15, right? And then what happened after that? It slows down uniformly and comes to rest after 4 seconds. So therefore here is going to be 20, right? So I've just done a sketch to show how the graph is supposed to look, right? Now let's see what they want. So they want a sketch, but they want it using actual values here now, right? So let me see something. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Right, so the only way I'm gonna get us to work here is if I use things like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and am I missing out any? 20 seconds, right? So that's your time in seconds. In terms of velocity, we're going up to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So now we started from rest. Sorry, not from rest. We started from 4 meters per second for 5 seconds, right? So 4 meters per second for 5 seconds. So I'm just going to put the points first, and then I'll draw the lines after, right? Then the next one, at 8 seconds, we're going up to 10. At 8 seconds, we're going up to 10. Then we're stopping at 15 again now. So that's here. And then we come into rest in 20, time t equal 20. So what you would do, you'll take your ruler. So this is my first line here, right? Next line is from 5, and we're going straight up to 10. Right? Then we have our next horizontal line here. right? And that's going up until 15. And then the last piece now is this here. Right, so this is how the graph is supposed to look. All right, let me double check the times and make sure those times correct. So it's 5, then 8, then 15, and then 20. 5, 8, 15, and 20. So it's 5, then 8, then 15, and then 20. Okay, so this is what my velocity time graph is going to look like. They want us to calculate the distance traveled by the object in the second part of the journey, right? Which is the second part of the journey. So the second part of the journey is this piece here, where the velocity increased from 3 to 10, right? So all you need to do here, remember this is a velocity time graph, so you can find the area from 5 to 8, right? All you need to do is to find this area here. So to do that area there, right, that's a trapezium. So that area, so the distance, right, is equal to area under the graph. So for those of you doing physics, it's an easy physics question, right? So it's a trapezium. So it's a half a plus b by h, right? So it's going to be a half by the sum of the two parallel sides. So this trapezium, one side is going to be 4 and the second side is going to be 10. So this is 4 plus 10 multiplied by the height, which is the distance from 5 to 8, which is 3 seconds. Right, so that's going to be 10 and 4, 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 7 3s are 21. So this here is going to be 21 meters for that piece here. Determines the object's acceleration in the final part. So the acceleration here will be the gradient of this section here we're talking about, right? So that there, your gradient, right? We can just choose 2 points here. This point here is 1510. So this point is 1510, and the last point here is going to be 20, 0, right? So we have 1510 and 20, 0. So your acceleration is equal to your gradient of your graph, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's just label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So in this case, it's going to be 0 minus 10 all over 20 minus 15. 0 minus 10 is minus 10. 20 minus 15 is 5. So this is going to be minus 2 meters per second squared, right? So that's the acceleration in the last section there we're talking about. Right, so that takes care of question 4, actually. Question 5, they said consider a toy truck moving along a miniaturized racing course, with acceleration at given by 9t squared plus 2t minus 1, right? Where t is the time in seconds. Assume that the speed of the truck is measured in cm per second, right? So that's the speed of the truck. Outline how an equation for speed would be found using the given equation of the acceleration. But that's straightforward. If you want to get velocity, all we need to do is to integrate your acceleration, right? So they said outline. Did they say work it out? Well, we can go ahead and work it out one time, right? So velocity is equal to the integral of 9t squared plus 2t minus 1 dt. So therefore, velocity is equal to 9t cubed over 3 minus 2t squared over 2 minus t plus c. So therefore, v is equal to, this is going to be 3t cubed minus t squared minus t plus c, right? Now the thing is, they did not give us any information pertaining to the motion of the truck. They should have said maybe at time t equal to 0, the velocity is 0. So we're going to make that assumption, right? We're going to have to make that assumption. So when t is equal to 0, that's at time t equal to 0, we're going to assume that the the truck is stationary at that point. So if t is equal to 0, if v is equal to 0 and t is equal to 0, that means that c, your constant, has to be equal to 0 as well. So this here is what I'm going to use as my equation for my velocity moving forward, right? If they ask me to do anything here with it, right? That's not, there should have been a plus here, right? This is a plus, right? So it's 3t cubed plus t squared minus t. So that's part 1. They want to know the speed of the truck when t is equal to 10 seconds. Easy stuff. So v, we know it's t cubed plus t squared. Sorry, 3t cubed plus t squared minus t. Alright, that's your formula for velocity. So when t is equal to 10, alright, v is equal to 3 by 10 cubed plus 10 squared minus 10. So that's going to be 10 cubed multiplied by right, so this is a real big number for the velocity though. 3090, and the velocity is centimeters per second, not meters per second. Find the distance covered by the truck between 10 and 5 seconds. Express your answer as a whole number. So if you want to get distance travel or displacement, right, what we're going to do here, we're going to integrate. So you're integrating between 10 and 5, right? And you know what the velocity formula is, right? It is 3t cubed plus t squared minus t dt, right? So whenever you have a formula for velocity and you want to get displacement, this is what we're going to do here. So this here is going to be, we have to integrate this. So this is going to be 3t4 over 4 plus t cubed over 3 minus t squared over 2. We don't put any constant because it'll cancel out. So all we need to do is to plug in 10 and 5 here. So this is going to be 3 multiplied by 10 to the power 4 over 4 plus 10 cubed over 3 minus 10 squared over 5 minus 3 by 5 to the 4th over 4 plus 5 cubed over 3 minus 5 squared over 2, right? Now let me just double check something here and make sure we don't have a mistake, because it will not be good if we have a mistake at the beginning, right? Let me see this, 9t squared plus 2t minus 1. So it'll be 9t cubed over 3, 2t squared over 2 minus t. So this is going to be 3t cubed plus t squared minus t. Okay, so I think we're looking okay. Now you're going to work this out in parts. They want to answer to the nearest whole number, right? Somehow the number look like it's going to be really large. 10 to the 4th multiplied by 3 divided by 4 plus brackets 10 cubed divided by 3 minus, alright, so again 7813 minus, this next one here is going to be 5 to the power 4 multiplied by 3 divided by 4 plus brackets 5 cubed divided by 3 that minus divided by 2. Alright, I'm getting 498 approximately. So this is going to be 7813 minus 498, and I'm getting 7315, and this is going to be in cm, right? Alright, so that's my answer for that part there, right? part B now, we have some integration to do. So the first one here, the first one is a straightforward formula, right? So if we want to integrate 2x plus 3, right, squared dx. So some students might want to expand this. You don't need to. You can use your formula, right? This is going to be 2x plus 3, right? This is going to be 2 plus 1. So this is cube here, all over 2 multiplied by 3 plus your constant. So your final answer is going to be 2x plus 3 cube over 6 plus c, right? So that's your answer for that part there, right? So this is a formula that we're using to integrate this. For the second one here, we have the integral of 5 cosine 2x dx, right? So again, this is also a formula here, right? What you can do, you can pull out the 5 here and then integrate the cosine 2x if you want, right? In which case, this is going to be 5. Now the integral of cosine is going to be sine. So this here is going to be 1 over 2 sine 2x, right? Plus c. So this is going to be 5 over 2 sine 2x plus c, right? Let me just double check this. Differentiate sine 2x, you're going to get 2. Yeah, that's looking correct, right? That's looking correct here. So that's my answer for that part. The next part of the question here now, we have, so they gave us dy dx is 6x minus 10. Find the equation of y. So basically we're working backwards here, right? So if you want to get y, we need to integrate this. So you have to integrate 6x minus 10 dx. So therefore y is equal to 6x squared over 2 minus 10x plus c. So therefore y is equal to 3x squared minus 10x plus c, right? Now the thing is, they said when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 12. So therefore you're going to substitute that into your equation you just got there. So 12 is equal to 3 multiplied by 0 squared minus 10 multiplied by 0 plus c. So therefore 12 is equal to c. So therefore the equation is going to be y is equal to 3x squared minus 10x plus 12, right? That's your equation. So that takes care of question 5. Question 6, right? This is question 6 here. They said the following stem and leaf diagram represents the scores out of 80 of students in an ADMATS exam, right? Write the raw data that was used to construct the diagram. Well, that's easy. We're working backwards here. So the first score will be 30. Then we have 33. Then we have 37. Right? Now the thing is, you can write them out in one line, but just for, actually I could go ahead and I could put it here. It's 42, 44, 46, 47, then 49. Right? I'm going to jump to the next line now. Next one here is 51, 53. We have our next 53. We have 56. Then we have 60, 67. Then we have 67 again. And then I'll just go on the next line. 71 and then 79. Right? So those are the scores there. This is raw data that I've extracted from the stem and leaf diagram. Calculate the median exam score. Alright, so they didn't tell us how many students we have here, but we can count it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have a total of 17 students. Right? Now we want to determine the median exam score, right? So since 17 is an odd number, there is going to be an exact middle, right? So if we take 17 and divide it by 2, you're going to get 8.5. So therefore we're looking for our 9th student or the 9th score. So you can do it from your raw data or from the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So I'm getting 51 here. Let's double check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So your median score is going to be 51. That's the median score, right? The next thing they want us to calculate the mean score, right? So the mean score, right, which is x bar. So x bar is your mean. So it's going to be sigma x over n. In this case here, you're going to have to add up all the scores, right? So let me add that up there. So t plus 33 plus 37 plus 42 plus 44 plus 46 plus 47 plus 49 plus 51 plus 53 plus 53 plus 56 plus 60 plus 67 plus 67 plus 71 plus 79. I'm getting 885. I'm going to double check that answer though. And this is what you should do in the real exam. Because you're adding up so many things, it's easy to make a mistake here. We know we had 17 students, right? So we just need to divide this. So 885 divided by 17. And I'm going to get about 50, average score about 52. Right? But let me double check that first of all. So I mean, I got a different answer this time. So let me, hold on, do one more time. Alright, okay, 885 again, right? 885. So I'm just going to go with that, right? That's what I seem to be getting here. Alright, now let's see what else they want here now. Oh wait, we're not finished. Right, so this is my mean score here, right? Again, around 52, right? Your modal score or scores, right? Remember, you can have more than one mode, right? When you look at the data here, right? In terms of, let's see, what numbers seem to be appearing a lot, right? If you notice, you have a 53 and a 53, right? But you also have a 67 and a 67 appearing twice. Apart from that, you seem to have two modes, right? It is possible to have two modes, so that's why they put it in brackets. So you have 53 and you also have 57. Right, so that's why they put this in brackets here. You have two modes in this particular case here. But for now, they said given that for the data, sigma x squared is that value, right, 48,999. Sigma x is 885. Well, look at that. You see, they gave me sigma x here. I didn't have to calculate it. They want me to find the standard deviation using this formula, right? Now, but here's the funny part, right? This question is with 4 marks, and all I need to do is to plug in into the formula. Okay. So sigma x squared minus, and they have sigma x squared over n all over n minus 1, and you're finding the square root of all of this. So they gave me a formula, right, for a standard deviation. So sigma x squared is 48999 minus sigma x squared on n. So this is going to be 885 squared over 17. Remember, 17 students we have, all over 17 minus 1 square root. Right, so I still a bit confused as to how come they have 4 marks for this. Am I missing something here? All right, let me work this out here. So 48999 minus, open brackets, 885 squared divided by 17, close brackets, equal, divided by 16 equal, second function square root, and I'm getting a standard deviation of about 13.5, right? So I saw this for 4 marks, and I'm still at a loss in terms of what they really want for 4 marks, but if it's just a substitution, that's it. N is 17, you had 17 students, right? They gave me what sigma x squared is, and they gave me sigma x, even though we just calculated it, right? So that's it. What we have here now. If a student needed to score at least half of the total possible marks to pass the exam, determine the probability that a student fail in the exam. So you have to be careful when you're reading some of these questions, right? So the probability that our students fail in the exam, right? Now they said to pass the exam, you need at least half. Now I think the exam was out of 80. Let's go back here. All right, so they said the exam was out of 80, so that means you need to get 40 or more in order to pass the exam, right? So you need 40 or more in order to pass the exam. They want us to work out the probability of failing the exam, right? So to pass, you need to get more than, let's say at least half. So it's at least 40, right? So you need 40 or more in order to pass the exam, right? This is a pass mark. So in this case here, if we go back to the stem and leaf here, right? Everybody who failed should have gotten less than 40, right? So let's find where, right? So in this row here, people got 42, 44, so all of them pass here. So the people who actually failed, they got 30, somebody got 33, and somebody got 37. So basically we have 3 people fail in the exam, right? Based on the pass mark, right? So 3 people fail the exam. So the probability here is going to be 3 over the total number of students, which is 17. And they want to answer to 2 decimal places. So this is going to be 3 divided by 17. So this is 0.176, right? That's a probability there. For this one here now, so for this one here, we have 2 things happening here, and they use the word given, so we know it's a conditional probability, right? It's given that a randomly selected student has passed the exam. So let's look at 2 events here, right? So let's call one event A, the person passed the exam. All right, B now, the second event, probability that the student scored. So the student scored over 60, right? Right, so the question is, what is the probability that the student scored over 60? So that is probability of B, right, given A, right? Because A is passed, right? So conditional probability is, in this case here, is going to be B intersect A all over the probability of E in this case here, right? So given that, yeah, so they pass the exam. So what you're going to do now, right? We need to find the probability that the person pass and they get over 60, right? Well, obviously if they pass and they get over 60, right? Let's see how many students that is. Where is 60? So we're looking at the 60 line here, right? So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 students that happened to. So the probability of you passing and getting over 60 is going to be 5 over 17. So this here is going to be 5 over 17, right? That is what that is there. Divided by the probability of A, so the probability that the person pass the exam now. So we're not concerned about whether it's more than 60 or not. Remember, to pass, you need 40 or more. So 40 or more will be from this score here, right? 42. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 14 out of 17. So this here is 14 over 17. So this is going to be right, and I'm getting a probability of 5 over 14. They want the answer to 2 decimal places, so 0.36. Right, so this one here is what we call a conditional probability, right? Right, based on the given stem and leaf diagram, they want us to describe the distribution of the data set. So let's go back to the data itself, right? Now, when you look at the data here, right, we can see that the data, just based on how the data seems to be distributed here, right? The data kind of peaking, or a lot of the data is on the side here. So we can say that the data is positively skewed, right? So that's what I'm going to say here, right? The data is positively skewed. Right? Because if we were to plot the distribution for a positively skewed distribution, what's going to happen is that we're going to have the data looking like this, right? If you watch the stem and leaf diagram sideways, it kind of looks like that, right? And now we have, your friend suggests that a bar graph or a histogram could be used to represent the data. Advise your friend on which graph is the better option. So we have two options, right? You have a bar graph, right? And they say in a histogram, right? Now, these diagrams have different uses. So we use a bar graph for discrete data, right? And we use a histogram for continuous data, right? So in this case here, you're talking about scores, right? And the scores from up to 80, that is going to be discrete data. So if I wanted to represent this data here, I will probably use the bar graph, not a histogram. You tend to use a histogram for continuous data. So things like height, right? Things like length, right? Things like time. Those things have an infinite number of values within a range. Whereas discrete data, you only have fixed values. Somebody could get 55 in the test, 65 in the test, right? So the bar graph, so they want so they said which one to use, right? So I would use the bar graph. Right? Because the scores are discrete data. Right? So that's basically it, right? All right, so that brings us to the end of June 2023. Overall, the paper was not that bad, right? So guys, if you like my solutions, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, right? My new Form 4 AdMaths class will be starting in August, and that is for students writing in 2025. So you can always send me a WhatsApp here, right? All right, guys, so that's it for me. I hope that the solutions were helpful to you guys, right? This is Terry here, right? Take care. Later.